They call him Seatin, the man of legends.
Hey guys, what is up? It is Seatin here. So, one of the things I've been asked to do over the last sort of few days, I've had a lot of questions about the Mage tank. That seemed to be the most popular of the 4 new souls at the moment. The video on that's got like a ton of views, and I've had countless sort of mail and inboxes and Reddit messages just asking various questions. So I thought, instead of replying to each one individually and spending a ton of time doing that, it would be much more productive to just quickly sit down for about 5 to 10 minutes, go through all this kind of stuff, like gear, various specs, which ones are the best, alternatives, and then just have this as a general sort of frequently asked questions and information video on the Mage tank. So, yeah, we'll dive straight into stuff. So, we can talk about the specs first. I think that would be, a good place to start. Now, the best spec for 61 Arbiter is actually 10 Warlock and 5 Stormcaller, so not what I have at the moment. I have, at the moment, I'm using a slight hybrid spec, which I enjoy for running Chronicles and Experts. Now, this sacrifices the 10% 10% endurance from Warlock, and you gain a bit more damage from Stormcaller, and also get the increased run speed, which makes you feel kind of more fast-paced, and was really good for showing it off in the video. But apart from that, like, it isn't very good. I don't know why I have this spec on me, just for a bit of fun, and it doesn't contribute too much to your endurance, like with 10 Warlock. I only have like about 87k health, so it is still about 5 or 6k more, but that is by far the best spec. So it's 10 Warlock, 5 Stormcaller, you get 5 in increased charge gain, 5 in endurance gain, and also 5% damage reduction. Now, the really awesome thing about Arbiter is there's so much sort of variety with what you can have as an off-soul. So, for example, like, if I go into the Dominator tree, and I put 15 points in there, I can get a Spell Reflect, I can get an AoE Silence, I can get a Single Target Silence, I can get an Instacast CC, I can get a Mana Drain, and, all this cool stuff. Then if, alternately, if I go into, for example, Harbinger, I can get a lot of Avoidance. Now, Avoidance is actually worse, because a lot of people do tend to think that 15 Harbinger is the better alternative. However, like, a lot of raid boss abilities, etc., cannot be dodged or parried. Therefore, this makes sort of the solid endurance and damage reduction a lot better than this additional chance to dodge and parry. And also, dodging and parrying does make for very spiky healing, which is sometimes a bit, unmanageable. So generally, it is better to go flat out endurance and also damage reduction. So, but Harbinger is an alternative, and it will be better for sort of large groups of trash and rifts. Maybe if there's like a fight where you have to off-tank, like, I don't know, 8 to 10 mobs, then it might be, a better spec because of all the avoidance, but generally it sucks for raid bosses, because a lot of raid bosses, like main tank damaging attacks, cannot be dodged or parried, so therefore it just makes it a bit, worthless. So moving on to sort of other various hybrids, you have the points in Archon that you can get for sort of the temporary movement and speed increase. You can get increased endurance. You can get a self-cleanse. You can also get power drain, which reduces the damage done by the enemy by 10%. However, that kind of sucks. A lot of people have been arguing that sort of 11 Warlock and 4 Archon is better because of the power drain, and it's a permanent 10% damage reduction, but it really, really isn't, because so many of the Arbiter's abilities rely on you actually sort of spending charge. It just makes the Arbiter not a very fun soul to play, and it kind of cocks up the rotation, in my opinion, and it's just really not worth it. It's on one target as well, and most of the time, not all of the time, but most of the time, you're going to be tanking sort of more than one enemy, so it is just better to go for 10 Warlock and 5 Stormcaller, in my opinion. But moving on, then we have like Chloromancer, where you have natural conversion, which causes the next damaging spell cast by the enemy to heal their target for 200% of the damage done. So this is kind of a big cooldown that you could use on bosses where it might be needed, like on Crucia, because the lightning breaths are pretty crucial. So you could, you know, make a Chloromancer hybrid for that, and also you get the self-healing from Bloom, and also a variety of other abilities. Now, some people say that Radiant Spores is pretty damn good, and I'd fairly agree with them. Basically, when you put it up on a target, every target that hits it has a 10% chance to heal for the attacker for 100% of the damage done, but this healing is capped at 5% of the mage's maximum health. So when you have, you know, like 80 something k health like I do at the moment, then that is a shit ton of healing that it's going to do when you know, sort of the target hits it. But generally it's better to have like a full Chloro use that ability, because there are some increased chances for it to proc, like just up in the Chloromancer tree. Actually having it talented to sort of 14 points to get Photogenesis might actually, you know, warrant you using it instead of the Chloromancer. So that might be an option as well. And also in regards to sub points, let's just quickly have a look in Pyromancer. You have Pyromancer for the flicker, and also I don't think there's much else in Pyromancer actually, but just the flicker. That could be very useful in certain fights where maybe you have to quickly move around or flicker out of some mechanic. So yeah, that could come in handy. That's just a really, really cool thing about Mage Tank that not many other tanking souls have. There's just so much versatility. Like, there's a ton of cool stuff in each tree, which makes it very hard to pick a build. I mean, at the end of the day, for doing experts and stuff outside of like progression raiding, I mean, you can kind of customize the Mage Tank how you want. I mean, if you want a tank, you're gonna have to have 61 Arbiter, but as you can see, there is a lot of flexibility in those additional 15 points. You can just do whatever with them. Now, the sort of second general question that I've had is in regards to gear. So I don't know if you guys have seen this, but you'll see at the moment I'm dual wielding axes at the moment. Now, this is actually because I have a one-hand and off-hand, and they've been transfigured using the transfiguring baubles available from the Rift store. So you know, basically with those baubles you can have your mage looking like whatever you want. For example, you know, I could turn the offhand into a shield, or I could put on a two-hand staff and then maybe change that into a large axe or mace. So the sky really is the limit, but in regards to what weapons you actually use and your character benefits stats from, it's main hand and offhand or staff. Currently, main hand and offhand is actually the much better choice, due to the fact that you can actually put endurance runes on a main hand and offhand weapon, whereas with a two-handed staff you can't put any endurance enchantment on them. So currently main hand and offhand is better, but I'm fairly convinced they might add a two-handed endurance rune, so I'd you know, keep an eye out for that. Now, in regards to the gear and stats you want, if you're going to be a mage tank and roll a mage tank, you're going to want an entirely new set of gear, and you're going to need to buy that. And that's going to become available when 2.7 launches, so save up your Imperial Slayer's Marks, your Infinity Stones, and all the other currency you can to buy gear. Now, mages have had it quite lucky so far, because at the moment you only need one set of gear, so I think it's fairly justified that they add in a completely new set of tanking gear for the new tanking class, just like every other soul. And in all honesty, you kind of have to look at it this way. I mean, even if they didn't add a new set of tanking gear in, you'd still have to get a new set of your DPS gear, but enchant it with endurance and all that, so you still effectively have two gear sets. So it's good that they're adding the tank set in. Now, the main stat for mages that you want to get as sort of a tanking stat is Deflect, and that is a pretty damn awesome stat, and that scales pretty nicely with the soul. As I mentioned earlier, like dodge and parry are pretty damn useless, but with all tanks the priority is kind of just getting as much endurance as you possibly can. So it's like, imagine you have like a priority list, it's like endurance right at the top, and then a massive gap in effectiveness, and then deflect, and then you have like intelligence and wisdom, and then like dodge and parry. So just kind of think of it like that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So for gearing, you want to get endurance. You won't be able to buy Mage tank gear, and it won't drop in raids until 2.7. But start hoarding marks, start hoarding infinity stones, and sort of, you know, you can pre-craft various seals, etc., to sort of make sure you're fairly prepared for when mage tanking hits live. So that's pretty much it for all I have to cover in the video, guys, for mage tanking. So if you have any questions about mage tanking or anything else you'd like to know about the soul, just one other thing. The pricing, this has been mentioned a lot. The pricing for the new souls hasn't been confirmed. I can't give you information on that. My theory is that they're going to sell them individually instead of a bundle, just due to the fact that the free-to-play model at the moment gives you 2 free character slots. So I think they're kind of... I don't know the statistics, trial and whatnot, but I think, you know, that's kind of made some of the new free-to-play players maybe focus on 1 or 2 characters, whereas before, you know, you could just create infinite characters. So I think it would kind of make sense to sell them individually, and then maybe do a discounted bundle for them all. So I think that's going to be the pricing model on them. But then again, I can't confirm that or anything, but that's just my theory on it. But regardless of which, guys, I know a lot of people have also been saying, oh no, I can't afford the new souls. Well, actually, you don't have to buy them with your real money. You can do a few things like daily chronicles, for example. There are loads of ways to make money, and I'm going to be covering this in an upcoming video. I'm just going to throw a quick few things out there without elaborating. Chronicles, gathering, and unstable artifact hunting. Those are really good ways to make plat at the moment. I'll elaborate more on those in an upcoming video. But guys, if you're sort of worried that you're not going to have enough money, then, you know, go out, play the game, earn some money that way, buy some Rex, and you can buy the new souls. You don't have to put a single penny of your in real life money to actually buy the new souls. While it would be awesome if you did put your real life money to buy the souls, you don't need to. You know, you can get the souls in game by playing the game at somebody else's expense. But anybody that wants to buy the new souls, I encourage that, because that's supporting Tryon. That's putting money into the big pot for the expansion, and that is making a better game overall for absolutely everyone. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching the video. I hope you learned a thing or two about mage tanking, and this cleared up a few questions. Once again, any questions, leave them in the comments below, and thank you for watching. Take care.